Welcome back to another cold episode of Commanding the Market. Because right now the weather is very cold out there, but we got some hot cards to talk about here today. I'm Nathan Hale, the MTG Librarian, and I am joined by Trent Richardson. How's it going, Trent?
It's going well, Nathan. Nathan Hale. It's going well. Your name is, scaring me a little bit, Hale, because hopefully we don't have any of that
Hopefully not.
here in the next few hours here. But I will be okay with some snow.
Well, I'm hearing we might get everything. Rain, sleet, freezing rain, snow, hail. It could be everything coming in.
Yeah, and our neck of the woods. These are not normalities. So
nope.
Gonna be pretty crazy, man.
Stay
gonna be
off
crazy.
the
Stay
road.
off the roads.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? Let's kind of stave off the cold by talking about some really hot stuff right now. And
Hey.
you know what's been hot? Some of
Our
recent
picks.
specs. That's right.
Yeah.
I'll start us off here with Death Cloud, which we talked about 2 weeks ago, I believe it was. And we talked about this card after Turgid, God of Death, was spoiled. And at the time, it had a market price of $3.02. That was for the Modern Masters versions, the slightly cheaper version. It has since jumped up to $12.38. Hope you were able to get your little hands on that while the price was cheap, because it's not anymore. And this next one is far from cheap.
Yeah, Anvil of Bow Garden. So we mentioned this in the exact same episode, and it had a market price of about $38.45. Well, we're almost to a triple up here at a market price of $83.11. So,
and we don't even want to talk about the
job.
mid, which is
Well
in
done.
triple digits.
Mhm.
Yeah. Definitely a good one there. And
Sure.
we also, I think it was still the same episode, talked about Scorched Ruins, yet another reserve list card. On that same episode, it had a market price of $40.09 and a mid of $48.11, and it now holds a market price of $45.20 and a mid of over $85.
Man.
These cards, especially the reserve list,
And how many views did we have on that last video when we did this?
it was one of our more watched. People do
It
like
was.
hearing about the reserve list.
Mhm.
And we've talked about some other reserve list cards since we started this show, although we didn't off the get-go. We had a lot of fans ask us to talk about specs for reserve list, and here's a couple more coming up here that we spec'd on last year.
Yeah, so back in the summer, we spec'd on Equipoise, and at the time, you could pick up near mint copies for under $2. Now, sitting in a market of $10.85 and a mid of $25 hairs.
I picked up quite a few of them for under that $2 price last summer, and I'm quite glad I did. And yet another one I picked up a good number of was Cadaverous Bloom, also on the reserve list. And that one has jumped from a market price of about $3.50 to over $10.
Wow. Wowzers. Yeah. And so our last one here we're going to talk about as far as recent picks. A couple months back, this is only really 3 or 4 episodes back.
Yeah, I think it was late November. It was
Yeah. We told you to pick up en masse when you could get near mint bulk for a quarter of Vona's Hunger from Rivals of Ixalan. Well, since Turgid's a thing now, it's only $1.68. So
and I did
massive
pick these up in
percentage
bulk.
gains.
Yep, I got a bunch of these. Because I've
I
been
did
just
too.
a fan of the card, and at a quarter, I was like, I know this is going to be worth a 3 casting cost, essentially board wipe. Yeah. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
one-sided board wipe.
Yeah.
Like this card's nowhere near its top. People just haven't figured it out yet, but they're going to start to with Turgid.
For sure.
So let's,
For sure.
why don't you take us into some of the new specs we're going to be talking about this week?
So we got a newie and a goodie. But and you know, I've got to say, when I first saw this card spoiled, I'm like, man, the repercussions of this card being viable and constructed and commander and everything else, I mean, is ridiculous because it's a snow card and you can play as many snow basics as you want in commander. I mean, anyway, let's get into it. Search for Glory, 2 and a white, snow sorcery from Kaldheim. Search your library for a snow permanent card, a legendary card, or a saga card.
Mm-hmm. That's a lot of options there.
That's a lot of options to tutor. Okay. Yeah. So search your library for a snow permanent, a legendary, or a saga card. Reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle your library. You gain 1 life for each snow mana spent to cast the spell. Now, who cares about the second part of the 3 potential life here? The fact that you can go get a snow permanent, which could be a creature or a land.
And what I like is the only one that has to be a permanent per se is the snow card. The legendary card does not have to be a permanent. That can be a legendary sorcery or instant. And the saga as well. Now, at this point, I think every saga is a permanent, but we don't know what the future holds. You know?
Yeah.
So,
but legendary card gives you access to those sweet legendary instant sorceries like from Dominaria.
Or maybe Gaia's Cradle.
Yeah, Gaia's Cradle. It's just there's just too many options on a tutor for 3 mana. I mean, in white, you know. Anyway, let's get into the pricing here. The way underpriced pricing.
Yeah.
TCG Market has it for 80 cents, mid of $1.13. Card Kingdom, completely in stock at 99 hot cents. Star City Games, a little ahead of the curve here, $1.99. Mm-hmm. Channel Fireball, $1. And TCG, you can pick them up near mint bulk for $1.23. So, again, it's yet another tutor that falls in the 3 CMC range, and white, and it's not busted.
Yeah, okay. It's not get anything, but
right. But it does offer more versatility than like Enlightened Tutor, for instance, or than Idyllic Tutor.
When you think about it, I mean, a legendary card is pretty expansive, and that's not including the snow permanent or the saga. Just a legendary card is super powerful because there is once it'll let you get a planeswalker for this casting cost, but just a planeswalker. This can get you a planeswalker and so much more. There's others that can get you in green for 2 time of need that can get you a legendary creature, but that's just a legendary creature. The fact that this is any legendary card is really big, especially in our format. And I think as we look through our decks, we're going to realize that there are a lot of targets in our deck for a card like this.
Oh, for sure. Especially in a one-off format. I mean, like Commander, I mean, you're already playing big, crazy, beefy stuff anyway. And this just is, I mean, as close to a black type tutor effect that you're going to get on a non-black card.
Yeah.
I mean, easily. Just, it's too good. And it's easier to cast than like not Vampiric Tutor, but the other one, Grim Tutor.
Yeah, which is double black.
Yeah, easier to cast than Grim Tutor. Gains you life, doesn't lose you life, and gets you nearly everything a Grim Tutor could get you, except maybe a non-legendary creature that's not snow.
Yeah. I mean, the thing I find interesting, this is a snow card. You don't even need to have any snow lands in your deck to run this. You know, it's a snow sorcery, but you don't need to run snow lands at all. You just won't get any life gain off it. But then again, most people already are swapping out their basics for snow basics because there's yet to be a reason not to, pretty much.
Right. Well, with the exception, there is that one card that they printed, the Angel or whatever.
Who's running that in EDH?
Yeah, nobody.
Maybe for the memes, and that's it.
Yeah, for sure. So what we got here next?
This next one, I almost put this on the list 2 weeks ago when we kind of talked a lot about Turgid, and I'm really a big fan of Turgid. I think she's the best card in the new set. Arguably, you could argue for Mystic Reflection as well, but I like black a lot. I like blue too. I don't know. Any which way, as far as a commander goes, definitely Turgid. And this card, Bottomless Pit, which is an enchantment from Stronghold for a white and 2 black, that during each player's upkeep, that player discards a card at random. Now, this card saw a jump after Tiny Bones, and I thought, I don't know, and it's since gone down from that peak it jumped at, which was around $6, to where it currently, actually, to a little below where it currently is. It went down to about $2.20. This is about a month ago. And then Turgid came out, and this card started to bump up again. Now, this has only been printed in Stronghold. It's an uncommon, not a rare, but only printed in Stronghold. We don't know that this is going to see a reprint anytime soon, if ever, because it's at random, which is something WotC doesn't like to do anymore. They don't like the discard at random. So I don't think we're going to see Bottomless Pit reprinted again. Not in any like standard set or anything resembling that.
Sure.
So at current TCG market is $2.86 with a mid of $3.38. So it's jumped up about 66 cents from where it was about a month ago, and that's all from Turgid. With a mid of $3.38. Card Kingdom is out of stock at $2.79. Star City Games is out of stock at $2.99. Channel Fireball is out of print near mint, but they have Light Play in stock for $2.49. And TCG near mint can be picked up currently as low as $2.50, but that's for singles. You're not going to find bulk at that price. Again, only printed in Stronghold as an uncommon. This card is going to continue to climb. I really don't expect we'll see a reprint of this outside of maybe a Commander Legends 2 or something like that. Simply because they don't want to push this into Standard or Pioneer or probably even Modern. They want to keep the random discard out of there. And if we look at another discard strategy type card that jumped up recently, take a look at Anvil of Bogredin. We were just talking about, and that had some massive gains as well. Now, granted, that's reserve list. This is not, but I think that's a nice indicator of how people are looking at discard as a more viable than ever before method for EDH deck themes, and they're pushing it. They're pushing the players in that direction.
For sure. And it's just a different aspect of the game. It's the same thing like with mill strategies. It's really never been viable until now, so now you've got mill strategies, discard strategies, and even like Red has burn strategies that are even better,
that are becoming viable. And White White still sucks.
But White has like the best all around potentially tutor of any other color besides black.
It's almost as good as black at one thing. Hey, it's something. Yeah, White's taking its time getting there. But maybe someday, I'm dreaming of a white commander deck that won't really, really, really suck. All right. We were just talking about discard strategies. Why don't you talk about this next card, which kind of falls in the theme there?
Yeah, so from M19, Fraying Omnipotence. It's a 3 and 2 black sorcery. Each player loses half their life, then discards half the cards in their hand. Then sacrifices half the creatures they control. Round up each time. Man, that is a sweet Turgid sorcery right there.
It really is.
I mean, like Pox and Death Cloud, it works nicely with Tiny Bones as well as Turgid. So seeing how both those cards have done since the 2 new commanders came out, it's definitely worth considering, especially at bulk price of TCG market price is 27 cents.
What?
a quarter and 2 Abes. Mid of 36 cents. Card Kingdom is out of stock at 79 cents. Star City Games has plenty in stock at 49 cents. Channel Fireball, 90 cents in stock. TCG Bulk Near Mint, 23 cents. I mean, this is something, if you're trying to figure out how to get that free shipping, I mean, toss a play set of these guys in your basket, you know. Definitely worth saving $1.50 on shipping just to have some extra potential specs laying around.
Yeah. And this card, I think, is somewhat fallen under the radar. Like, we caught on Death Cloud before everyone else in the world was really talking about it. And then people figured that out and jumped on it. And I really feel Fraying Omnipotence, it's, while not as good as Death Cloud, there are situations where it can be better than Death Cloud, because Death Cloud, if you only pay the 5 mana, X is only 2. Everyone's losing 2, discarding 2, losing 2 life, 2 creatures. Where this, you pay the 5, they could be losing a lot.
Yeah, depending on who you're playing against.
Now, granted, there's more Fraying Omnipotence out there than Death Clouds. I'm pretty sure of that, because Death Cloud was only printed in, I think, Modern Masters, was it 17 or original Modern Masters, and Dark Steel.
Right.
But M19 was not the most popular set, so I don't know how heavily opened it was.
I mean, most core sets I feel like are open on average more so than the regular sets, just because it's a avenue for new players to get into.
Maybe.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of people I talk to who haven't been playing as long as you or I, I'm sure every one of them say that the core sets are like the biggest things they open. So who knows?
Well, who knows? But, you know, at 23 cents on the bulk, it's worth $1 or $2 to spec into a couple play sets or whatever that.
Yeah, for sure.
So then we have this next card, which has nothing to do with Turgid, everyone. Surprise, surprise. Is Sea Hunter, which is from Nemesis, a much older set. It's 2 and 2 blue for a 2/2 mercenary. With 3 taps, search your library for a Merfolk card and put that card into play. Then shuffle your library. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a little annoyed. This and one other card I was going to spec on about 3 weeks ago, and I held off. I was like, I'll save that for later episodes. And I might also add, I didn't at that time pick any up. And the other card I'm referring to is Skyshroud Poacher, who's very similar, but he's the green version for elves. Well, in the last week, Skyshroud Poacher jumped from about $3.50 to around $26 on the market, or on the mid. The market is somewhere, last I looked, it was around 7 or 10, but you can't find anywhere, and I looked because I wanted to pick some more up. I only have one. You can't pick them up anywhere for under $20 if you want light plated near mint. So that $26, if by the time I'm talking, it'll probably already be there on the market. I know the market's catching up to the mid right now.
Yeah, for sure.
But this card, interestingly enough, it's played in over 1,000 EDH decks, where Skyshroud Poacher is actually played in less decks on EDH Rec, under 1,000. So this card actually sees more play in EDH. We could say, well, maybe it's Elf Ball or Elf decks in other formats driving the price. I don't know. It's possible.
Could be.
I don't play the other formats, but what I do know is if we did just have a set come out with a lot of elves in it, and suddenly this card jumped in price, but no one that I know of is suddenly like, modern and legacy elves are now suddenly really good because of a card from Kaldheim. Correct me if I'm wrong out there. Maybe you all know something I don't. So I still feel that the driving force behind cards is still EDH. And Sea Hunter right now at a market price of $3.10 and a mid of $3.48, is definitely worth specking in on, because if it follows suit, and all it may take is a good set with some merfolk to push people into doing merfolk builds.
Right.
And merfolk is still a fairly popular theme in EDH. Not as popular as elves, but still fairly popular. I could see this card jumping to the 10, 12, maybe even $15 mark, following something like that happening. So right now, pick them up. Card Kingdom's got 2 in stock for $4.99. Star City Games out of stock at $4.99. Channel Fireball is out of stock on the near mint, but they have light played 6 of them for $4.30. And then TCG near mint single copies can be picked up as low as $2.65. I picked up a playset when I was doing this spec of near mint. I think I got 4 of them for, I think it was like $2.90 or $3.10 a piece, something like that. Plus, and then divided up shipping, it was 99 cents shipping. Just so I'd have at least some of these, because again, I can see this card following in the footsteps of Skyshroud Poacher. Maybe not reaching the level of Skyshroud Poacher, but definitely, I mean, you look at Mog Hunter. Goblins is another popular one. Mog Hunter, Mog Catcher, Mog Hunter. I don't know. I think it's Mog Hunter. Sorry, Mog Hunter. Whatever. The red version of this, which fetches goblins out, has been the most expensive one for a while. I think it's sitting around $16 or $17.
Right.
So I really feel Sea Hunter here is worth grabbing. If you're interested, the white one and the black one fetch mercenaries and rebels, which are not super popular creature types. Maybe someday they will be, but I wouldn't hold my breath.
Yeah.
But they're right now around $1 or less than $1. If you want to pick up a couple just to have them in case you want to throw them into a shapeshifter deck or something, they wouldn't be terrible in there, to be honest. They come out a little cheaper to play than these other 3. So, maybe that's an option. But the only one I'm really at this point specking on is Sea Hunter.
That'd be kind of a fun deck to build, playing like a 5-color, all these mercenary from Nemesis, picking those up.
Mercenary changeling deck.
Yeah. That'd be funny. That'd be super funny.
Definitely for some memes there.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll move along here. So these next 2 specs, basically I pulled these out because today, we're actually filming this on Saturday. So today we had spoiled or leaked on Reddit a
spoiler
Japanese
alert.
Leak. Yeah. So we had a Japanese leak of the pack art from Innistrad the Midnight Hunt. And on the packs, the first one of them spoiled, looks like some type of werewolf creature. And then a regular wolf kind of behind in a shadow. And then the other one is some planeswalker, kind of hard to tell. It looks kind of like it could be what's the
Sorin or
no, it's not Sorin. It's the white and black Pontiff, the cleric.
The goat. No, I'm thinking of the guild's ghost.
Starts with an O, I think.
And this is a planeswalker?
No,
I thought
he's
you
a
said
legendary
planeswalker.
creature.
There is the Pontiff of Blight.
It's like an O. It starts with an O.
Orzhov Ghost Council, but they're the Orzhov. I don't know. I don't know who you're thinking of.
Anyhow, so that's the pack art spoiled there. So I was like, well, it's Innistrad. It's got to be, vampires and werewolves. So let's just spec on, in my opinion, the best 2 rare, one rare vampire and the other werewolf human. So first off, let's start with Champion of Dusk out of Rivals of Ixalan. It's currently played in about 2,700 decks, so not a whole lot. And Champion Dusk is a 4/4 vampire knight for 3 colorless and 2 black. And when it enters the battlefield, you draw X cards and you lose X life, where X is the number of vampires you control. So super sweet card advantage engine here for a vampires deck.
Yeah, I use it in my Edgar
And
Markov to refill my hand all the time.
yeah, I mean it's a fantastic card, and especially in vampires. Um, so I do want to say first of all that these two specs in particular, while they're not going to be long-term specs, they're more specs for a specific set that's going to come out, and with that, werewolves and vampires, while are kind of like a meme in popularity, it's kind of like dwarves being a meme in popularity now. So
Yeah.
what's going to happen is when that set comes out, they're going to have some kind of sweet, awesome new werewolf and some sweet, awesome new vampire. Everybody's going to go run and build a vampire deck or a werewolf deck. So that's when you want to sit on these until this set comes out, and then you can make some cash on it, flip it kind of quickly. So Champion of Dust, TCG market price of 85 cents with a mid of 98 cents. Card Kingdom has them for 69 cents a piece. Star City Games, 99 cents. And Channel Fireball, 80 cents. So for less than $1 a piece, and, even if these double in price, and that's Champion Dust doubling is kind of on the low end in my expectation for when Midnight Hunt comes out. So I would expect it to at least get up to $3.50, maybe even $4 for a little bit, couple weeks anyway. Mm-hmm. So to turn that $1 bill into a $4 bill is pretty good. So you want to go ahead and take the next one?
Yeah. So who let the dogs out here, right? Who? I'll tell you who. It was the mayor of Avabrook. Oh. He is a 1/1 human advisor werewolf for 1 and a green. And he has other human creatures you control get +1/+1. At the beginning of each upkeep, if no spells were cast last turn, transform Mayor of Avabrook. Now, if he transforms, on the backside, you've got Howlpack Alpha, which is a 3/3 werewolf with other werewolf and wolf creatures you control get +1/+1. At the beginning of your end step, put a 2/2 green wolf creature token onto the battlefield. And at the beginning of each upkeep, if a player casts 2 or more spells last turn, transform Howlpack Alpha. So getting him flipped is it's I don't think that hard. You can do it yourself. You can take a turn off, especially if you're able to keep up interaction, and then he'll just flip at the end at the beginning of the next upkeep, and then your opponents aren't going to want to take several turns off. Right. Now the question is, it is in Commander, so you're going to have some players that are going to cast multiple in turn. So getting him back around to stay is going to be kind of a trick, but you can also, and there'll probably be more ways to do it if they bring back transform him yourself. Right. And get him transformed. Now, currently, the TCG market price is $1.52 with a mid of $1.90. Card Kingdom is out of stock at $2.49. Star City Games is out of stock at $1.99. And Channel Fireball has 3 in stock at $2.70. Now, I don't know the current prices on what you can pick them up on TCG Player at for near mint or light play, but I'm sure you can likely find them somewhere between that mid and that market. And like Trent was saying, these can be good cards to pick up to look to flip once they start spoiling the werewolves and the vampires from the return to Innistrad. So. Yeah, one I thought about speccing on, like I bought a couple for myself, but I thought about talking about on the show a while back, talking about vampires. But he was just already at a price point I just didn't want to talk about because he was at like $18 or $19, and it's the Twilight Prophet, the mythic from Rivals.
Well, yeah. That's why I went with Champion of Dusk instead, because it was a much more accessible buy-in.
Yeah, Twilight's at like $28 now.
Yeah. It's so good though.
It is like, even if you're not vampires, it's just such a good card.
Yeah.
But yeah. So if they don't reprint that one, I expect that one will probably continue to grow. I don't know how much more it'll go though, but it's a mythic from an under open set, and it sees a lot of play. So who knows?
Yeah.
I just have been loath to put it on as a spec because at that price point,
Yeah, that price point's right there where I don't know if it's going to move for any period of time, but hey, I mean, it's not going down anytime soon, I'll tell you that.
No, it's
So,
steadily it's had a steady climb. So
mhm,
I'm
yeah.
just reluctant to go with something that expensive that they could reprint and cut that price in half.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I think if you want to grab into it, you might as well if you need it for a deck,
Yeah.
at that point, but if you're not going to build a deck and play with it,
No,
I
it's
don't
not a
know, it's
card I
probably
see like
not worth buying.
yeah, some of these I can see that, in the next, 3 months, 6 months, year could double, triple, quadruple up, but I don't see that one being able to do it. Twilight Prophet, like to have a double up or triple up. Like
Yeah.
it's already elevated. The time to jump in on that was a while ago, like years ago.
Yeah, when it first came out.
Yeah.
Because that was interestingly enough, that particular block was one of the last blocks we'll probably ever see in the spec world anyway, where it was so well received at first, and then the draft format became so just boring,
Yeah.
because there's really only four archetypes,
Hmm.
and one of those was head and shoulders better than all the others
Yeah.
by a lot. So I think people got tired of that like creature centric format. And the same thing happened back in, what was
Onslaught.
it, like Fifth Dawn era, like Mirrodin, I guess. What? No. Onslaught
Yeah.
block where they
Onslaught.
did
Because they did Onslaught, Legion,
Legion.
Scourge, and Legions, I think, was all creatures. Like every card in
Yes,
the set.
Legions was 100% creatures, and
Yeah.
Rivals and Ixalan were not too far off from that either. But
I think people just slept on Rivals. I got
yeah.
back into Magic with Ixalan
Mhm.
because I hadn't been playing for a number of years, and I got back in just at a pre-release. So I was like, hey, on a lark, Pirates and Dinosaurs, cool. I'm gonna play a
Mhm.
pre-release, and I was actually really impressed with a lot of the cards, and we've talked about a lot of them on the show before, and I think a lot of people slept on many of these cards. And it's
Yeah,
kind of bit them in the butt now because they're getting expensive. Your
for
growing
sure.
rights, your wayward sword tooths, your Twilight Prophet.
Mhm.
Um,
So I kind of didn't. I don't think I finished my point there. I kind of went off on a tangent, but my point was, my point was, Rivals of Ixalan and Ixalan were one of the last sets or blocks that we've seen where um, there have been cards on release or pre-release, um, two of them specifically, like the Dusk,
Twilight
uh,
Prophet.
Twilight Prophet, as well as the Phoenix, Arcane Phoenix.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I
so
forgot about
those
that.
two cards, when they first were spoiled and came out, I mean, you could grab them for a buck, $2. I mean, hardly anything. And
Hmm.
then I mean, they ended up going through the roof to 20, $30.
Yeah,
You don't see that very often where it's missed that hard, up front. And, it's kind of sad that
I
that
picked
might
I
be.
picked most of my growing rights up, and I got a lot of them for $3 a pop. three
That's
bucks or
and yeah,
less.
growing rights. I mean, there's so many cards from those two sets that, I mean, you could hit huge on right now. I mean,
Yeah.
big time. That were never, and it's because of EDH. I mean, that's the only reason.
Oh yeah.
So,
That's kind of why
I
we
feel a lot of
started
people
this
on.
channel in the first place. Was we noticed that a lot of these spec channels, at least at the time, seemed to be overlooking EDH as the thing that was driving the market. People were still talking about, modern's a driving force and or legacy or standard, and we're like, not really. Like the last
Yeah.
3 years, it's been heavily pushing towards EDH as the driving force for the market.
Hmm.
So that's why we decided, you know what, let's go ahead and start talking about what we're doing already.
Yeah.
Um, So anyway, that's it for the specs for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. We're trying to keep it on the shorter side. It's nice and cold. When you're watching this, we're pretty much wherever you're going to be in the country. If you're in the U.S., you're going to be freezing your teats off. So, warm up, snuggle under a blanket, pop this on, and enjoy. And once you're finished enjoying it, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. And if you are subscribed, do us a favor and like it, comment. I'm just curious, what is your favorite card from the Ixalan block? We were talking about that a bit today. What's your favorite card from the Ixalan block? That's Ixalan and Rivals of Ixalan. Curious to hear what you guys have to say. And let me rephrase that. Your favorite underappreciated card from those sets. Sure.
And, something else you guys could do to interact with us is you could share it with your mommies, your daddies, your sisters, your cousins, your brothers, your uncles, your aunties, your aunts.
Because they're all cold too.
Anybody. Anybody would love to watch this. I know I sent it to my mom, and she was like, "What is this?" And now she's a Magic Pro.
Yeah.
So, anyhow.
She's always picking and flipping.
Like and subscribe, guys. We really appreciate you guys' support each and every week. Keeps us doing what we're doing and keep commanding the market.
Peace.